Well, my name's Anish Dave, and I am the CEO of BRIA, Miami-Dade RIA also. Been an investor for some time, since 2002. I know some of you guys have been watching a lot of our webinars, so we're going to kind of keep it short. You can, if you email me or you want to see online, you can see my bio. I like long walks. No. I'm also a licensed real estate agent since 2002, licensed mortgage guy. I've done, over a couple $100 million of real estate transactions over the years. Done a national program on real estate investing. I still read a lot of books. Spent over $50,000 in 2006. So did Brian. So combine $100,000 on real estate coaching. We do believe in real estate coaching. Unfortunately, our coach was out of state. So having a local mentor kind of makes a big difference. The good thing was it did get us to BRIA. So luckily, after losing 28 properties back in 2006, $3 million in assets, I had two choices: go back to corporate America and banking and finance. I hated my job, so that wasn't a choice for me. And somehow I had to make this work. And luckily, we bought the companies from our mentors. And basically, I've been able to live the life I really wanted to live and help out my family and leave a legacy. And it's been through real estate investing and wholesaling. So, and I'll pass it to my partner in crime.
So I'm Ryan.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for, allowing me to be on this webinar. Like, I really appreciate it. And so my name is Antonio Lopez, and what I have is pretty much, I'm the president of my own real estate cherry picking company, right? In other words, what I do is that I wholesale properties. And so kind of like to add to what Ryan was saying, I get to cherry pick some of these properties for myself, right? Aside from flipping the other properties that I have. So how I started with these guys. They essentially taught me all the basics about real estate investing, and I grabbed it and I ran with it, and now I'm here again, cherry picking properties, keeping them and doing Airbnb and continuing to grow and expand. So
yeah, and I just want to add also Antonio's quick background. He actually had no real estate experience when he first started, and when we met him, he had a couple little corporate jobs, and he realized that wasn't for him. And to see his growth over these, I want to say it's the last 8 years, has been pretty amazing. Not only has he grown his hair, I know he's grown his bank account. It's kind of going hand in hand. What was, I forgot what that was called. The guy had all the power in his hair. I think that's what's happening.
Samson.
I know Antonio's close to, I think this week, and I might be wrong, I think or next 2 weeks, he's closing almost $1 million worth of properties.
Yeah.
As it's going on in these next 2 weeks. So it's been pretty exciting to actually have someone that's actually also doing Airbnb too. So before we kind of get started, I did put a quick poll about our boot camp. I know some of you guys have gone to our boot camp. If you don't mind putting in the chat, what was your experience on the boot camp, or one thing that you learned? Make sure you put all attendees, because I know some of you guys are interested in our 2-day intensive boot camp. Our next boot camp is July 24th and 25th. It is online via Zoom. So our normal pricing is $425 for members, $495 for non-members. We're going to teach you how to find off-market properties, how to set up your corporation, assignments versus double closings, how to evaluate properties. We'll have special guests, including Kevin Thatcher from Independence Title, Jose Ramirez from Advanced Tax Advisors, Francisco Mago, the owner and founder of ReaFax, and Carl Shieldy from Piers Remodeling.
So let's talk about short-term rentals.
Yeah, so what is considered a short-term rental? So go ahead and put it in the chat. What do you think a short-term rental is? It's really short, Anish. I don't know, 10 minutes? I'm not talking about the hourly motel, guys. What is defined by Florida less than a year? I got any lease less than 6 months, 2 to 30-day rentals. Okay. Could be a vacation rental, weekly. Some are right. Vacation rentals, okay. So you do have an idea. So the actual definition in Florida, a short-term vacation rental is defined as a property that is rented more than 3 times a year and for less than 30 days at a time. And we're going to kind of talk about there, and I know Antonio's kind of got around this a little bit. So that's the legal statute in Florida. So I know some of you guys are out of state. So I'm gonna give you my disclaimer, right? Each state's a little bit different. Each city is also a little bit different. So as we're going out through the process even today, check with your city. They do have different guidelines and they are changing things constantly. So I think it's always important that you guys know what that actually is, and that'll make a big difference for you. So 3 times a year, less than 30 days at a time. So actually, Antonio, do you want to talk about how you did get around what is considered a short-term rental?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a condo that I bought in about few years back, right? And with this particular condo, what was happening was that Airbnb started registering. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a lot of controversy with Airbnb and them not really following the local and state laws. And so what happened was that Miami essentially they forced in a way Airbnb to like hand over people's addresses of other properties that they had registered. Now, like, like the slide is showing, the short-term rental is only short-term if it's less than 30 days. And typically my condo would be filled with people who would stay, 35 days, 43 days, 35 days. So the way that I was able to kind of get around this and registering my and following, all these costly licenses and whatnot with the county was to only accept people that were going to stay at my place 31 days or more, right? And not only that, but there's a lot of other benefits to keeping people longer term rather than super short term. And I think we'll discuss that in a future slide.
Absolutely. So, so when we're talking about short-term rentals, so let's talk about, because obviously everyone, right, knows Airbnb. So how many people have actually, done Airbnb? If you have in the chat, let me know. Have you actually done any kind of short-term rentals? But these are some of the other ones out there. There's HomeAway and VRBO, but there's Vacasa, which it's in 23 countries. There's Turnkey, Booking.com, Flipkey, and now actually Hotels.com. So all these companies are doing short-term rentals. I know we're going to kind of, we're going to pick more the Airbnb just because it's the most popular one out there. So that'll give you a good idea. If you've used any other of these sites, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm always kind of curious to see how many people have used any of these sites in general.
There's also another big one that's growing. It's called Furnished Finder, and it's really mainly for like nurses and people in the medical field. I was actually looking into that particular market down here, but I believe that it's not available down here yet. At least that's what I searched like maybe 2 months ago for that. So that's another one.
Yep, and I see Eldon, Luciana, you guys have used Airbnb as well as hotels.com. How many people have actually stayed at, an Airbnb or a short-term rental versus a hotel? And if you liked it, hey, yes, I've stayed at one, I'd go back again. So that we'd have an idea. Again, we want to see who our audience is. I know we have all different levels of investors here. Some of you guys have, stayed at Airbnbs overseas. Yep. VRBO, Marco Island. Okay. Gives us a good idea. So what we're going to do now is, so as we mentioned, Antonio not only is one of our students, he's always fell in love with the Airbnb aspect of it. And we're going to kind of go over in the future in a little bit the benefits and common mistakes. But what I'd like to do right now is, Antonio, why don't we show the house, right, that you bought? First of all, knocking on doors, and it started out maybe, you wanted to wholesale the house. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so you could share your screen, Antonio. And while Antonio's pulling up was, if you want to talk about the house that you bought, and yep, and now you got the photos up there. So do you want to kind of talk, let's talk about the deal. First of all, how'd you find it?
So this property, so I actually went out door knocking for this deal. You know, it's a property in Fort Lauderdale.
Antonio, can you go to the top of the screen with the address? There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep the
So
address
this is the
there.
address of the property. It says before, but it actually has the after pictures as well. So don't be surprised.
Yeah.
So go
Yeah,
ahead.
so the house is in Fort Lauderdale. What, Antonio, why don't you give the address first?
1344 Northwest
Uh-huh.
9th Ave. And this particular property, again, you know, the way that I found it was by, you know, approaching the homeowner via door knocking, right? And so what I did was when I approached this homeowner, I remember she was about 11 days away from her foreclosure sale date, which in 11 days, it's still possible to be able to save the house, which is exactly what I did. You know, I organized all the paperwork with her. We put together a short sale package. And I even accompanied, I even accompanied her to put in the motion as well to stand in front of the judge, you know. And we were able to save the house. We pulled, I believe, that cancellation, and then the next cancellation or the next auction date was canceled by the bank because we were in the middle of a short sale, right? And so as you guys can see from these pictures, you know, there was a considerable amount of work, especially in the interior, right? The bones of the property were really great. But, you know, it was just completely outdated. And it just didn't look what I thought could be its full potential, right? So then what happened was, and you let me know, Anish, you know, the details you want to know about this particular property, right?
Sure. So let's talk about the area first. How far from the beach?
So
So-
this is, I would say this is like about medium distance from the beach. It's not like super duper close, but it's close enough. I think it was about, and I calculated using Google Maps. It was like 9 minutes to the beach. It was like 4 minutes to Wilton Manors. It was like 15 minutes from the airport. It was like not even like 4 minutes away from like major highways. So it was like very, very centric. But even,
Yeah,
you know,
so the area, right? So the area is obviously not the greatest. Let's talk about that too, right?
yeah, Progresso's is an up and coming area, correct?
Like a true real estate investor, up and coming. Get that realtor hat off there, up and coming, near schools. But he's right. So it's about 6 miles, 5 miles from Fort Lauderdale Beach. Some of you guys are not familiar with Fort Lauderdale. It's about 15 minutes from the airport, which is important. It's close to the highways. So it's not your, you know, short-term rental on the water. That's, you know, millions of dollars. Okay,
Correct.
so.
And I would say that's one of the biggest follies a lot of landlords make. Like I've talked to other investors at the BRIA meetings, and they get excited about Airbnb because it's exciting. You know, you talk about 2-3 times the amount of rent, but they never really jump into it because they think that their property is too far out west or it's not close enough to something. And the reality is that a lot of the times you'll be surprised what you don't know that's like around you. You know, for example, here in Fort Lauderdale, there's like I don't know, a captain school, but a specialty captain school where they teach you how to drive these ginormous, you know, Panama Canal type ships, right? And you just don't know. You don't know the type of people that are going to come to your place until you try it, right? And then you start narrowing down that, you know, your target market.
And so now you can see that Antonio is starting to rehab the house. Did you start rehabbing the house thinking it was going to be an Airbnb, or were you rehabbing
as
the
a matter
house to fix and flip?
Fix and flip, yeah. And I ran into quite a few snags. As you can see in this bottom right picture that's coming up, we had just about the rehab finished, and then, you know, vandals came in and they just ripped out, well, they didn't rip out all the copper, which was really crazy, but they made this huge mess. Excuse me. And so that really slowed us down for like about a month and a half due to the insurance, right? So no, it didn't start off as a as an Airbnb. It started off as just a fix and flip, a quick fix and flip where the prices were going up at that time too.
Yep, exactly. And so you guys know the timeline. We're doing a couple little things different. So this was pre-pandemic, right? He
Correct.
got there. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to put money in my my pocket. And so Antonio went from wholesaling it and putting some money. He had his own money, leveraging other people's money. And he said, you know what? I can make a lot more money rehabbing it. As he's doing the rehab, guess what? He gets robbed or things get stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he has Arcana insurance, so he was able to put a claim in and basically cover all his expenses. But it did add time to the rehab.
Correct.
So,
And Arcana did do a good job. They really did. It's super simple to get insurance from them. I'd highly recommend them. It's very highly,
so
as a matter of fact.
For you guys that have not seen our national rehab benefits and you're not a member, that's one of your benefits, guys. So that's where Ryan and we constantly get insurance through Arcana. So
yeah, every single property I go through Arcana.
Want to kind of move down a little bit faster on the I don't know how many photos you got, but let's see what the finished product.
Okay, let's move on to the finished product. And here we go. We start seeing it really start coming alive. It had this converted garage before I purchased it, and we made that the 4th bedroom. And that was really like a really huge selling point. But I didn't know that it was going to be an even bigger selling point when I Airbnb'd it, right? So 4-bedroom properties, they sell for a lot more for that, that week, because the entire family can come in and stay, 10 people, 12 people or more, depending on how we set it up. And everybody gets to like hang out, everybody gets to be in the same place. And it didn't dawn on me until,
wait, can you stop those photos for right there? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll zoom in on these too.
Yeah.
So these were staged. This isn't the Airbnb.
Right. This is not the Airbnb.
No, this is not the Airbnb, right? Because remember, I was going to rehab it and sell it. So I had it staged, right?
Yep. So check out this, right? You saw what it looked like. Again, he worked on it. So do you want to kind of talk about how much money you put in repairs, give or take?
I put in repairs, give or take about $70,000.
$70,000 in the property.
Now let me show you guys the actual the Airbnb. Okay, here we go. So you see we put window treatments, the beds are all the rooms have beds. As you can see, it's very simple, very basic, right? But very clean.
Yeah, Antonio, so let's talk about this for a second. You went from rehabbing the house, right? You staged it. What was your aha moment? Why did you want to, what made you think of Airbnb versus selling it? What was really,
why
did you adjust your plan?
So I had the condo, and the condo was doing really, really, really well. I was doing about roughly 2 times the amount of rent in that area, which is, phenomenal. But anyways, so then I thought to myself, the property wasn't moving. Everybody loved it, but nobody was purchasing it. And I was like, man, I got to move this property. And then I thought to myself, let me start checking out how much this stuff costs anyways, because if I can look at what the staging looked like and make it look like that, it's absolutely gorgeous. Plus the house is brand new. Right. So then what I started doing was I started looking up bed frames. I have a mattress that I absolutely love that didn't cost me nearly as much as a $5,000 mattress. No, so I started calculating how much everything costs, and I started putting the numbers together. I was like, I could totally do this for about $7,000. I could furnish the whole property, and off that $7,000, according to the research I was doing on Airbnb, I figured I could get that money back in less than 2 months, and pay for the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. So I just, I waited a while, and I was like, if it doesn't sell by this date, I'm just going to go for it. Right. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't sell. So I went for it, and it was like a great decision.
So you bought the house for What about 170?
Oh man, I bought this house for I think 134.5. So I was like all in, like maybe 210. And the ARV on this house, the after repair value was up near 300.
Right. So with the ARV, give and take, again, I'm not gonna do the HD TV numbers, but basically 60 or $70,000 he was looking at making profit on the rehab, or 70 or 80, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So of course, as you're holding the property, right, he's trying to get top dollar. I remember people loved the house, but it was on too busy of a street was one problem, I thought. There's some little things. So a lot of showings,
A lot of showings.
no full price offers or nowhere close to it, right?
Correct.
So, Ryan and I, we always talk about it. It's about adapting. So he could, like most people, he could have knocked down the price just to unload it. So he could have assigned it or wholesale the contract and made 25,000.
Can I add
Instead,
something to that, Anish? And it was because of what Anish and Ryan taught me to wholesale, that I was able to get the property so low that it gave me so much opportunity. So I just wanted to point that out. The fact that I knew how to wholesale and I got it at such a low price was the reason that I had, several doors open for me to walk through.
Awesome. And so then you decide, let me move to Airbnb. Just out of curiosity, is there a specific reason you picked Airbnb versus any of those other sites?
Yeah, Airbnb had been pretty good to me as far as customer service with the host. They typically sided with the host. Moreover, I made it easy, because of my prior experience with the condo. I was able to just really know exactly what I needed to do at that time to make this property really pop on Airbnb. I also liked Airbnb because they did a lot of the work in the background that I didn't have to do. I think on VRBO, you have to figure out your own accounting and all this stuff. And I mean, that's not my forte, right? Like that part is just not my strong suit. My strong suit is, I'm more visual and creative and whatnot. I'm not so detail oriented. So those are just a couple of the reasons. And it's just, it really is just a good platform. It's a good platform.
And you've already had experience in it, so I know it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
About that. So can we show, so now can we flick through the stage photos, like on a big screen like that?
So what you're looking at here is the actual product, right? Like this is not staging. This is me coming in, picking the details, such as like the flowers and the little, what is it called? The little towels and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I got most of this stuff on Airbnb. I went into, or excuse me, on Amazon, right? So a full length mirror in every room. You have artwork that matches, obviously, right? And I get that artwork at Marshall's. Like this piece of artwork right here cost me, I think, like $20, $25, right?
I thought it was a local artist that's up and coming.
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I would like to support my local artists.
No, I thought you said when it was Marshall. I thought Marshall was a local artist.
Oh.
I got you.
No, Marshall's. See, like this little detail back here, you get those for like $5-6 at Marshall's. Again, artwork is a big deal. This is actually the Eiffel Tower from the bottom up, so it's interesting to look at. Again, more artwork. This is the dining room.
Makes
right?
people.
Which I bought on Amazon. The rug I bought on Amazon. This table brand new costs, like, this is the cool part though. These, like, you want to have certain accent pieces, quote unquote, right? And these pieces they just make it look awesome, right? Like, I love that coffee table or whatever you want to call it, right? And this table brand new costs like $700-800 at El Dorado Furniture. For all my South Florida people, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I was able to find this on Facebook Marketplace, I think, for like $100. And it's a piece of furniture that really, it makes the place pop, right? That, the artwork and the flowers, these little tables right here on the side with those, what is it called, with the lamps? Those are just tiny little details that, again, make it look much nicer, right? We got Santorini in the back of this bedroom, home sweet home, full length mirror for the people. And it doesn't have to be super expensive, but it does have to be clean. It has to look sharp.
What I like about it is like the paint colors you picked. were, awesome. Like they're like
Thank you.
neutral, clean,
Yeah.
right? Your flooring's nice, everything matched. I feel like Antonio, you're a designer. So I think you don't, without saying it again, I know you kind of mentioned it earlier. So what do you think Antonio spent 4 bedroom on furniture to furnish his Airbnb? So go ahead and put in the chat what you think he spent.
Oh,
5,000. Remember, it's a 4.2 or 4.3? 4.2, right, Antonio?
4-2, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Alessandra, you were listening. How dare you? I know some of you guys are listening, so we're just checking. Yep. Antonio said about $7,000 he spent. So he already gave you the answer on that portion. And now I think you're going to show some of the things that you did besides just for the Airbnb.
So I went to the Q&A and I answered somebody's question by mistake. And their question was, what is staged? What do I mean by staged? And what I mean by staged is, so whenever you're going to sell a property, you can actually have somebody that come and like rents you the furniture, right? The furniture cost me $2,500. And so from the number that I got, 7,000 minus 2,500, it's almost like a no brainer, right? Because it's only about $4,500 more. But anyways, so yeah, actually the pictures I wanted to show you here now are the pictures that I used for my check-in guide. So as you can see here, you have pictures pointing exactly to what you have to do. When you get, for example, let me click on this. So first you get the lockbox, then you open the door.
Go back. Wait, go back. We'll go back to the lockbox. Okay, so this is the lockbox. Are you actually meeting your guest?
Absolutely not. No.
I know you're not. So I hope you guys hear this, right? I mean, you need a full team to do this. The last thing you want to do is run a hotel. I mean, last thing I would want to do is like, oh my God, I got to do this, right? So that's the lockbox, right?
But yeah, and this was before I got the keypad door, the keypad lock or whatever, right?
Yep. So this is when he first started, and then as he started progressing, those keyboard locks, right? They cost, I want to say it's a little bit less than $100.
What, the lock
$75.
boxes?
No, yeah, the keyboard, the manual. I mean,
oh yeah, no. Those range from, if you want to get a good one, it's like $130.
$130.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
worth
want to
every
explain what that
penny.
does? Wait, what you want to explain what that actually does?
So some of
Why?
them are super fancy, right? Like some of them, I believe they register when a new a reservation is made, and it automatically sends them like an email with instructions, and their code for the house is like the last four of their phone number or something, right? So some are like that. And so what that does is that you do not have to be there to greet these people, because you just don't have to be, right? Some people will argue that it makes for a better experience for the homeowner. What I say is that communication prior to them even getting there is what's really important, because what you want to do is set these people up right. You want to manage their expectations way before they get there, right? So like a week before they get there, you're going to send them a message like, hey, we're a week out. Just want to make sure if, that you read, the house rules, and that, you agree to them. Please reply with yes, so that I know that you checked it out. Here's the link, right? And so they'll get the check-in guide 2-3 days before they go in, right? And it just makes it way easier, because when you're basically training the person for when they get there, for them not to need you, for them not to have to call you, because they feel confident in being able to check into their place. And just, when you get somewhere, you just want to relax. You don't want to deal with anybody else. At least that's how I am.
and the other advantages of a keypad is you could change the combos, right? For your cleaning team, new guests, and you can monitor, which guests too. So
yeah, they can have their own key code. And so why that's important is because then you can track who's going into the house, when they went into the house, etc. Right? And I also had an alarm system in this house.
That's the thing.
It uses Wi-Fi, but it also has cellular service in case that the Wi-Fi is cut off. And it's it's really worth having that extra sense of security on the days that you don't have someone in there, right? Because if somebody breaks in there and they mess up the house, then you're down for that amount of time. Now you have to come up with reasons to tell the, your guests why you're canceling. And it just creates more of a problem. Whereas if you have like an upfront deterrent system, it will help, right? And you have to pay for the monitoring, which is $10. So it's worth it. For me, it was worth every penny. That I got cameras outside and I put a Ring doorbell camera in front. That actually paid for itself. Just so you guys know, you're going to have a lot of guests that are going to come in and they're just going to say that it's 2 guests, which is something to look out for if you have a house that sleeps, like 8 to 15, 16 people, right? 2 people are not going to rent a 4-bedroom house. So what you do is that you again, upfront, right? Like confirm, hey, just wanted to make sure that we have the right head count or whatever. If they say yes, then when you, because I like to see my people when they're checking in, make sure that, they're not like banging on the door or whatever, right? If I see more than, 4 people coming in and I see more and more people coming in with their bags, then typically I'll call up the person who made the registration and let them know about the rules. Hey, look, for every additional person, it's going to be X amount of dollars per day. And we have to do that, right? Because of the wear and tear on the property, the wear and tear on the tiles, the amount of water they use, the electricity used.
Give or take in that area. What number did you come up with, give or take? I think it's about
that house, top of the market, like that freshly renovated. Well, yeah, I'm on freshly renovated would go top of the market like 2,300 at that time. Like thinking that, I hope I get 2,300.
Correct. And do you want to show what your numbers are a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll show you guys from the beginning of January till when I sold it, right? And beginning of January, and this is a pro tip for you guys. What you guys want to do is let people that stay at your house, so they could review it, right? And ask them for an honest review, right? But don't charge them full price, right? So I mean, just look at that. Just in January, I made more than regular rent off of 2 reservations. Then we got February 5th, another 1,500, 1,200, 1,500. This 291. That, can you guys see that? Yeah, right. So,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So the 291 was it was a deposit, and then the gentleman paid me the rest when he got there, because he didn't. So Airbnb, what they do is if somebody wants to like give you half now, or they only have half of the money now, right? Airbnb won't set that up for you, but what they will do is that they'll allow you to charge the person, for example, like here, like $291, right? And then when the person gets to your house, or preferably, 2-3 days before they get to the house, you ask them to send you the rest of the money via Zelle or via PayPal, whatever works for you guys, right? So look, March is a super hot super hot month in Fort Lauderdale. So just this one, what is it? 8 to the 14th was $2,300, another $2,200. This was mistake very well learned. I actually, the towels got messed up, and I asked the lady to, I asked her to pay for it. She said no. So I moved on to the insurance, and she turned around and left me like a horrible review, so she did, I forgot what that's called, is like review revenge or something. So look at this one, April 1st, from the 31st to May 1st, $3,800. That's more. Well, no, that's not more, but it's almost double the $2,300, right? Yeah, and that's just like in the first week.
Okay, but let's talk about, so remember the timeline, right, guys? It was the middle of March. Guess what happened? That's when the pandemic started.
Correct.
So he was able to get someone for a month, which is more than monthly rent, right in the beginning of the pandemic. So we're just because of time, Antonio.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit. Yeah. So a couple little quick questions. I know you sold the property.
Yes.
And why did you actually sell it? So
I sold the property because I couldn't get rid of it before, right? And so I had an issue with the condo where they were changing up the parking situation. And so that really messed me up. And so I decided to put it up on the market. And when I put that property up on the market, I noticed how many people were coming to see the house. It was like a frenzy. And this is like about 3, 4, 5 months after I took off the Airbnb that you guys saw off the market, right? So I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe it'll sell this time. And not only that, but Airbnb actually canceled everybody's reservations. So they were still paying out, but it was only like at 50%. And then some people were still showing up. Some people were scared. So it was like here and there. And I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen next. And what I did was refer back to history, to the 1918 flu. And I saw that lasted about 2 years, and I saw how bad it was back then. And I decided, I'm like, you know what? I think I'd rather be in a stronger cash position, especially with the market being the way it was. It was the very beginning of this, So that's what I would say. Yeah, check with the HOA. Oftentimes they frown upon it. It depends on who's running the HOA, right? That'll really tell you what you can and can't do. But I want to buy. I have this property approved already in Homestead. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bed house. It's gorgeous and it's huge and it's perfect for Airbnb. But unfortunately, like Ryan said, I called the HOA and I'm like, hey, do you guys allow short-term rentals? And they said, no, our shortest term rent is 6 months, right? So again, there's probably a way to go around that. I'm not gonna lie. But like to get into that mess and have that have that monkey on my back, I don't think so, that one I'm just going to wholesale.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, how many people have actually used ReFax, their Airbnb investor? So I know Antonio's buying a new house, or actually he just closed on this house, I should say. So can you guys see my ReFax
Yes.
page? Yep. So I know that the house you bought is in 33311.
Mm-hmm.
So we
both of
use
them.
ReFax to actually help analyze some of the things that are happening in neighborhoods. So we'll give it a quick second here. Let me just sign in. Okay.
They got some good questions in the chat. Guys, please ask your questions in the Q&A, because you guys have some really good questions. I don't want to not answer them.
Yeah, anytime.
51,000 listings that are active in Florida. Regular rentals, there's 15,829. So literally there's 10 times more Airbnb listings. The average daily rate, that's what ADR stands for. Airbnb is 177 bucks. Regular rentals, it's about 56 bucks. The occupancy, right? Airbnb on average in Florida is 71%. The regular is 95%, right? So usually if you have a long-term renter, they're living there. So that number should always be higher, generally speaking. And now the big thing, the revenue. Airbnb, the revenue is 3,821 versus 1,617. You are actually making 137% more by doing Airbnb. And so one of the things that, Antonio's buying this house, or he closed on a house, I should say, and it's actually in 33311 in Progresso. So what we're going to do is get some real numbers in Progresso.
You know what else you can do, Anish, is you can actually put an address that you're interested in and look at as that being the centerpiece, and then everything around that particular house too.
Yeah, that's the other way, but we'll just pick the area. You can see the active rentals, there's 167, 36 regular. So Airbnb, it's $163 per average night, 52 bucks for a regular rental. The occupancy is great. So you could actually, and the revenue is 158%. So I think that's always important to see. Again, we could pick on occupancy. You could see what's happening in the last 12 months. March was booming. April, May's been great. It's been down a little bit in June. What's going to happen in the next 6 months? So there, right now, there's a bunch of July bookings already. This tells you not that many people have booked out in August yet, September, October, but look, a lot of people already December, they're already booking today, that is. The graphs actually will show you versus the listings versus the amount of rent. So for June, you can see 114 listings, 190. Revenue, right? So we want to know what the last 12 months were. It breaks it down, what's been happening. So you could figure out seasonality. So one of the things is, Antonio, your new house you bought is 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms? The
It's
new
a
one?
3-bed, 2-bath.
Okay, so look, 3 bedrooms. You can see how many active, right? And this will tell you how many regular listings. So one of the things that we like about this area, this also does, is get this thing descending. So depending on the area, and you can do this by map, you could figure out what the occupancy is at Oakland Park. You could actually see what the revenue is. 201%, right? It's double. Look at, you can see what's more occupied. Wilton Manor, Fort Lauderdale. So it gives you that. Seasonality. This will tell you the darkest green, the last 24 months, what was really busy. Lighter green, it's less busy. You can figure out the next 6 months. And I know, guys, I'm running through this quick. It's just way too much information. We want to make sure we still answer all your questions, and we still have some stuff to kind of get over. You can find out what the best rentals are in 3311. So now you can see his house is 300. It's a 3-bedroom. If you rent out the house, it's 200% more than rentals. Look, you can actually break it by room. Look at your numbers there. It's pretty crazy. We know in this area, studios, private room, not very good. 4-bedroom condos don't do well. So there's a ton of data out there. So that's what I just really wanted to give you guys an idea of what the real numbers are and what you could do. Some of the other things, like if you wanted to buy a house, you could actually literally go in here. And when you're looking at listed properties, you can literally go in here and find listed properties. You can find who's coming to visit, what the return is. So there's a lot of good information that you could use through REIFax, their B&B investor. But really what I wanted to show you was what you could really make doing Airbnb, especially if you do it the right way. So I kind of just wanted to give an idea about that. And then what I'll also do is we'll kind of talk about, let's go back to the presentation here. And let's talk about some of the other things. So do you need to own the property to do short-term rentals? What do you guys think? Yes, no? What are you thinking? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Yeah, no, some of you guys know.
Damn.
Yeah,
Like,
you can lease it.
Everybody knows this answer. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Rental arbitrage, correct.
Right. So let's talk about some of the benefits of short-term rentals without owning it. It's minimal amount of cash up front. So it might be 1 month's deposit, right? And first and security. You could start earning within 60 days. You're not locked in on a long-term on a property, right? So for whatever reason, let's say you're not good at it, you don't want to do it, versus you actually owning the house, closing on it, it's gonna make a big difference when you don't own it. Also, you could have a kick-out clause on your lease. So some of our other investors that I know, what I thought was pretty cool was what they did was they did a 2-year lease on the property. And what they did was a 30 or 60-day kick-out clause. And this is what I mean by that. And they did it right before the pandemic. They had 4 Airbnbs near an event center. And what they did was they said, hey, if things don't work out in 30 days or 60 days, I could get out of my lease. And why would you think, right, the seller or the owner might agree to that? What do you think? Go ahead and put in the chat. Obviously, I'm going to tell you. One of the things is the the apartment was vacant for a long time, was number one. Also, our partner, or if you're actually doing this, you heard Antonio talk about he invested $8,000 in furniture, right? So Antonio, I know it's your apartment. Listen, I know this thing's gonna work. You're gonna have some rent. You're not gonna have to worry about it. Well, look, I'm investing $7,000 or $8,000 into this, right? So that's gonna make a big difference. Also, master policy. You're gonna have to get a master policy when you're talking to the homeowner. The big no-no, right? Do not rent a place and not tell the owner what you're doing. I think that's massive. They're going to find out. So you just want to make sure what's going to happen. It's the easiest way to build a portfolio of rentals, right? Constantly, Brian and I always hear about it. Let's talk about cash flow, right? I want cash flow. I want cash flow. Oh, wait, I don't have enough money. Well, I'm wholesaling some deals, so I'm building some cash. Well, maybe I'll pivot, and as an add-on, I'll pick up a couple rentals, right? So if you're using ReaFax and Airbnb, some of the tools out there, exactly in the areas what things rent for. And then the other big thing is less maintenance, right? You're not worried about the roof. You're not worried about the AC. All those things are on the original landlord. So it's going to cost you less versus, Antonio to rehab the whole house. He dropped in $70,000 to do that. So I think that always makes a big difference. So those are some of the reasons why the short-term rentals. Let's talk about some of the common mistakes that you have, right? Well, when you're doing short-term rentals, not having enough photos. How many of you guys, right? You looked on a listing and they got one photo. It's the same thing on the MLS. We always joke about it is, if it's totally rehabbed, we always know when the house is rehabbed, there's like 50 photos. When there's only one photo, I'm not sure, right? Like what are they hiding? Oh, and by the way, I'm going on vacation. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. Poor description on your listing. Gosh, I don't even want to tell you how many Airbnbs I looked at and I was like, really? Like, it doesn't tell you anything about it, what it's near, what's it by, how far are things, right? Few minutes from the beach, Las Olas. You want to take the time to write a good description. I would even say for people that are not good at writing, it's worth hiring someone for the copyright. I mean, to write it for you. I mean, I'd pay a flat fee just because you're going to see more bookings. Not checking out the competition in your area, right? Like, I'm just going to use, this number because I think that number is right. Well, you want to see what else is going on in the area. I know Airbnb actually has a tool where they give you a recommended rate, right? Where they'll say, hey, this is what you should put your listing for. Also, not comparing the right properties. You can't table. So having good neighbors to keep an eye on the property, avoiding properties. I know, Antonio, I think you said you had a sound meter.
No, I didn't buy the sound meter. I cheaped out on that one. Yeah. But that's like that's like one of the big things. The way my sound meter was like I was really into it, and I would look at the cameras, and if I could hear really loud music on the cameras outside, then I might send them a message, be like, hey, the neighbors complained.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those
my
are
sound meter.
That's a sound meter, right? So you want to make sure, really avoid parties, right? Having a cleaning crew and full checklist of items to be done, right? So not having the right teammates or a cleaning crew or whatever items are needed. Antonio, what do you do when people check in? Like, I know do you have a cleaning crew on call? How does that work for you?
So whenever somebody whenever somebody makes a reservation, what I did was with my particular cleaning lady is that I would send her a calendar invite for the times that I needed her. And we obviously, had a conversation about this before I hired her, but that would work really well for us because as soon as somebody, and I had instant like, what is it called? Like instant purchase or whatever. I forgot what it's called. I'm sorry, guys. And whenever somebody would instantly make a reservation, it would drop me the notification. I would immediately turn around and make that calendar invite for my cleaning lady. And most oftentimes I would follow up with her and I'd be like, hey, look, I just got one right now. Are you going to be available on this day? I also had 2 separate crews in case one failed, right? In case my cleaning lady, like one time I think she got like a flat tire or something. She just couldn't get there, right? So what did I do? I turned around and I hired the other crew. And there was an issue with them, but that particular cleaning person has more than one person. So we were still able to get it cleaned on time, or excuse me, we were still able to clean it, just not on time. And so as soon as I knew that was going to happen, again, communication is key. I let my reservees know, hey, this is what's going on. So I hope you don't mind them, but what they're doing is they're making sure that everything's clean for you. So, you got to make it a benefit for them.
And some of the best practices with short-term rentals, like have guide to local restaurants that you like. I know some of the places I've gone, I think Antonio, you do it too, where it's laminated, like beaches, things to go, like an information guide.
What I did was print out like a guide. I didn't laminate it. I would print it out, and I had like about 20 of them printed out in the like in our storage closet. And so every time somebody would come, they would put one of those guides on top of the table. Moreover, you try to point them to the online Airbnb guide that you also create, again, to offer them more value, to make it, make the perceived value higher, right? So yeah, I did both.
Absolutely. And we talked about adding a fee for a cleaning unit, additional extras, fee for each person. Is there anything else that you add besides, to kind of ring up your numbers, besides extra people? Is there anything that you could add or anything on your?
I didn't offer any extra services.
Okay.
What I did know that we could do, I just never got to do it, was to create like a partnership with a boat captain. So you could offer that, like you could offer the group like sunset cruises or whatever. And then you earn a commission off of that. There's a ton of things that you could do to upgrade the service. For example, if they want a special kind of pillow, tell them no, because even though you want to strangle them, right? You tell them no, or excuse me, you don't tell them no, and you tell them, yeah, absolutely. The pillows and this, this service costs this amount of money, right? You go on Amazon, you find out what it costs, and you get back to them. So you don't tell them no, you just let them know that it's going to cost them more, right? And there's a ton of other ways you can make money off of experiences. There's events, there's all kinds of segues or tangents you could go off of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously you want to ask for a review. How important are reviews?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time, they're about to leave, you let them know, hey, was there anything wrong? Is there anything we could do better? And the reviews are, I don't want to say they're everything, because if you see 5-star, 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 1-star, 5-star, 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 you can deduce that 1-star probably had some kind of issue or something, right? Like chances are, if you have 15, 20 5-star reviews, 1-star review probably doesn't count. And this is, I had that happen to me where this lady left me a really, really nasty review after she had told me that she was having an amazing time. So of course, like I went back to Airbnb, and they're very, very strict. They're very liberal when it comes to this kind of stuff about the reviews. Their stance is freedom of speech. And so this person, it's not based off of facts, the reviews, it's based off of opinion. So like what you were saying earlier, you want to try to, I don't want to say mitigate, because there's really not much to mitigate if you're actually offering a really wonderful house, right? But any small little things that you could fix right before they check out, you want to make sure you reach out to them, and then you let them know, like you close on it, if you want to call it that, you close on them giving you 5 stars on everything. Hey, we have a wonderful time. You're a great guest. We're going to give you 5 stars on everything, right? So they get that, hey, we're looking for 5 stars. Yeah,
exactly. Obviously have a minimum stay for guests, so it's a little bit less wear and tear. So I know sometimes you could do 3 days, 5 days. I know the one you're talking about, your short-term rental in Miami Lakes, a condo, you did I think a minimum 31 days.
31 days. Yeah.
actually for business, that were actually there for some corporate, training 3 or 4 months. So if the minimum stays will be less wear and tear on the property is number one. Number two is that it's a little bit less, moving parts, I would say too. So just figure out what's a comfortable amount.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about the remote locks and keyless entry. I know how important it is to inquiries, whether they're booking or whatever they need. You can't wait 36 hours or 24 hours. And there's some great services out there that you can hire also that will actually help you out with that portion, whether it's a VA or if you're actually using a property management company too.
Yeah, that was
And-
going to be
and I
the
know-
next step that I had, was because I like to travel and I'm always somewhere and I'm always doing something. So, that's the one part that I would highly recommend for everybody, to look for somebody to start, once you got a good handle on your property, look for someone to start answering those questions and those messages, because it also impacts like your SEO on Airbnb, which is something I don't think we're going to get a chance to get into, but just so you guys know, Airbnb functions sort of like Google, and they have like a ranking system for properties, and you want to be as high as possible on that ranking system, and responding as quickly as possible within like 2 minutes to these messages is what Airbnb likes, their algorithm or whatever. And, that helps you out in the long run, stay on top.
Absolutely. And also some goodies. I've been to Airbnbs where they have coffee ready, they've had muffins. I thought the best one that one of the guys I know, what he did was he actually went to the local Total Wine and Spirits, picked out a bottle of red wine, asked the manager, basically saying, what's your best bottle of wine that's the cheapest, that won a bunch of awards that nobody knows about? And I kind of laughed about it. I said, what? He said, yeah, I got the bottles for $2.98. So he bought a couple cases. So every new guest, his cleaning crew, part of that checklist, they would actually have it on the table, a bottle of wine, two, wine glasses, and say, hey, Antonia, this is for me. I hope you and your wife enjoy our stay. And he saw his reviews skyrocket. So I think that's always a little bit important too. So those are some of the things that we can do. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you, I own a 5-unit building. And what I'm showing you right now is our Airbnb in Wilton Manor. And this is the actual listing. So I just kind of want to show you the photos of what it looks like right now. And you can see it's pretty much turnkey. We got about 15 reviews on it. So out of the 5 units, only one is Airbnb. And since it's a 5-unit, we do not need a license in Fort Lauderdale. We just have to register. So we didn't have to go through any permits. So it's been pretty cool. And what I really wanted to tell you was, pre-pandemic, we were panicked. We're like, I don't know anyone's going to come. So we rented it long-term for $1,200 a month. And what I did was, basically, I just looked at the numbers for June. We got $4,500 in income. And what we're getting for July, it's almost 7,000 bucks. So it gives you a good idea what's out there. I know you guys have a ton of questions. We're going to kind of run through these right through it. So Renzo, how did you do it with the cleaning? So I know Antonio, again, like he mentioned, he actually has people on his payroll. So he's always gotten the cleaning done. He knows when the guests are coming in, when the guests are going out. Obviously, we talked about the keyless door lock. What that means is you're just basically, for the 130 bucks, give or take, it could be opened remotely. You could change the combinations on it too. And it's going to make the experience easier for you, your team, and the guest. Let's see. Also check the local, okay, Albert, local zoning does not allow Airbnb or short-term rentals. Yeah, so you want to check, obviously, what your local zoning is. I would also check with the city. Some of these things are changing. So it might be in certain areas. That's really something that you want to know in your area. when it comes to that. Albert, I know you're asking about what site. That was Reafax, Airbnb investor. If you email me, I could give you some information on that, and you could actually do CMAs through it also. Unfortunately, it is not free. You do have to pay for it. Terry's asking, what about the cleaning after renters leave? Not sure. You do want to get it cleaned. Do you usually have it like right away, Antonio? Like they leave, they check out. When's your checkout time usually? Let's just kind of talk.
I have them check out at 11.
Okay.
I'm probably going to make it at 10 with these new properties. If they want to stay longer, it's just going to be an additional cost because it does put a lot of strain on our cleaning team. Most of the time, I do not accept it just because, we really need to get in there. As soon as these folks leave, we need to start cleaning up. One of the things that we do, though, and that we learned that really helps us with the cleaning is that we ask them to get all the dirty towels and to throw them into the washing machine and to start the washing for us, right?
Really?
Yeah, because the origins of Airbnb was very like friendly, right? It was very like, hey, you're staying at my house, right? Like the way we're looking at it right now is more like of a business, but originally it's like, hey, you're staying at my house. I need you to take care of my house. So when you leave, I need you to do these things for me, right? So you can still push that on them, and that cuts down, believe it or not, dramatically on the amount of stress on your cleaning people. And moreover, it gives them that space at the end to make sure that everything is good, right? That we have enough forks, that we have enough paper towel, that we have enough soap, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I mean, because you want to turn these pretty quick. I know Renzo's asking if the house is new condition, how do you fix things in there? I know you have a handyman on your team, Antonio, right? That if there's some things that are broken or replacements, I know sometimes, so like, you have extra towels ready, dishes, all that stuff, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. If they need anything, they shouldn't need anything extra, to be honest with you, right? Like we have this pretty well calculated. But if like the AC breaks, I have like 4 AC guys in line, right? I called my preferred AC guy first and, along the way, right? Nothing really honestly should break, at least in these types of properties that are being renovated or that are being brought to market in exceptional condition, right? Like there should be nothing, the only thing that I did have a problem with one time was with the plumbing, but again, had the handyman, he went out there, checked it out. So having a strong team that you can count on and then having backups for it, right, is really important as well. So this has you make sure that whenever you're anywhere and somebody tells you, oh, I'm a handyman or I'm a contractor, or I'm this or I'm that you try to keep those contacts. And in certain cases, you want to develop those relationships.
Absolutely. And Terry, I know you're asking, what does Airbnb charge? They usually charge 3%, but it gets a little bit complicated depending on your refund policy. So depending on if it's the stronger it is, they're going to charge you a little bit more. So what we found is Airbnb's been the cheapest platform on charges versus some of the other ones that we talked about. Right now, it's still the most popular. I know Denise, you're asking for longer term stays. Do you have a cleaner go in during the guest stay or only at the end of the stay? So if a guy did it for 30 days.
I don't send anybody if they're like in there for 30 days. I don't send anybody in there. But I do prepare the cleaning person for when they go in there, be like, hey, this person has stayed there 30 days. I just want you to know that. And on top of that, I want you to make sure that if you see anything broken, right, that you immediately take a picture of it just as it is. Because then what I do is that I turn around and I try to ask I ask the person to pay for the damage, right?
Yeah, and you can file claims through Airbnb. I know Antonia has gone through a claim, so there is some protection through Airbnb. Sandra, I know you're asking what kind of permits or licenses needed to run a short-term rental. Again, it's going to depend on your area. As I mentioned, my 5-unit, I didn't need any of that. I just had to register with the city of Fort Lauderdale. And that was just recent, actually. They just added that. They just needed to know that we own it. If it's less than 5 units, you're going to have permits. There's going to be things that you want to do. What I'm telling you is once you know an area, you'll probably pick up more Airbnbs in that area. You want to go through the process. Again, you want to build this as a business. I know, Joshua, you're asking about a concierge service to manage properties and communications. I know you actually, Antonio, manage them yourself. There are some smaller companies for direct responses, like popular questions that you could hire. I would say on average, if you're going to use an Airbnb management company, so the industry average is 20 to 25%. So regular rentals, 8 to 10%. You're paying double, they're doing a lot more work. So it really depends on how hands-on you are, how hands-off. Also depends on how many properties. I could tell you right now, Antonio, if you have 10 Airbnb properties.
No. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it. No, see, I was already looking for a way to get out of that position when I had those two properties. Once you have it nice and running smooth, and you get the quirks of that particular property, I was going to take my hands off of it.
Yep. And let's see, do we have same day turn? Do you always have same day?
All the time. That's a normal thing. And again, what you do is, you make sure you have enough time and that your cleaning person is going to get there on time. And then go ahead and make sure that the other person doesn't check in till 3 p.m. or whatever time you want. And it's typically enough time,
Yeah. And
not typically, it's always actually enough time. Sorry.
Would you confirm that Airbnb is no good for low income area?
I would disagree. I would disagree big time. Number one, the property that you guys saw was actually an opportunity zone, right? The two houses that I'm buying, just from driving into the neighborhood, you see the different the different houses and how they maintain them, and it's not it's a low income area. And what's cool about the Airbnb is that when people get there and they get into the house and they experience the nice house, they typically they never complain about that. They never let me know, at least they've never given me the type of feedback that's like, oh my God, I'll never stay here again or anything like that. As a matter of fact, it's always been the opposite. It's always been like, oh my God, what a great area. Okay,
Yeah. And some of the other things that we didn't fully touch on, it could be a low income area in your hospital. Imagine,
right.
And I've seen this flat out where I know some Airbnb hosts specialize on this. God forbid your family member is sick and they're in there for long term, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They're getting some kind of services all the way through. And you're not gonna be able to stay in a hotel. It's gonna be too costly. You want a kitchen. So if you use, the Airbnb feature or B&B investor, I should say, on REITFacts, it literally will tell you. It's real data. So there's no guessing. You don't have to worry about that portion of it too. So I think it's always important that don't always, what you think, right? Like we're talking about those $1 million homes on the water. Yeah, of course, everybody wants them, $7,000, $8,000 a month, but there's a lot of little money makers. And you have real data showing that too. So I think that's always important. Joshua, we do have a lot of different vendors. Actually, if you go to our homepage, we have some of our corporate partners, from management teams to flooring. So we do have some different things. And Renzo, the zip code, I forgot the zip code, it's in Wilton Manor. So I forgot there's a couple of zip codes in Wilton Manor. So that's where,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say, James has a really great question. Is it difficult to get bank financing to build a house that would be used specifically for short-term rentals? So in this case, banks don't generally look at Airbnb income. You want to talk to whoever your lender is, because there is a way, I believe, and again, this isn't like, financial advice. I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, so I'm going to help you with that.
Yeah, please.
Basically, if it's short-term rentals and it's existing, right? Like it's a house you're building, Antonio's had it for 2 years as an Airbnb, and Airbnb, like he could document all that. They will count that rental income towards cash flow. The bank, every bank is worried about cash flow. If it's less than 2 years, they don't care. So it's a no-go. There are some alternative lenders out there. You're just going to pay more on interest rate. So I think that's always important. Also, lending guidelines constantly change, but there is some different things that you can do. But that's why you want to raise your own private money. Get good at this. Antonio, I know for a fact, has been raising money for all his deals. So he's not doing the traditional bank stuff, especially for this Airbnb. And it's basically opened up his business model. So, okay, we answered all those questions. Full 90 minutes. So one of the things, before, first of all, I want to thank Antonio for even being so generous with his time, given some of his experience out there, and just watching him grow. And who knows, maybe you'll say one of Antonio's Airbnb listings in the future, and you'll say, hey, I know that guy. So I want to thank Antonio for basically hanging out with us, giving us some real information on what we're doing. The other thing that we do want to talk about, we kind of talked about in the beginning, and as you heard Antonio, he was a mentoring student, a guy with no real estate experience, and he went from, hey, I'm a little bit interested in real estate, to I'm going to start, building a portfolio. I'm going to start rehabbing. I'm going to wholesaling, and now he's already starting to do his Airbnbs. So one of the things is that, we talked about our boot camp coming up shortly, July 25th and 26th. What we've done here at Bria is basically, Ryan and I, is changed the whole outlook on the coaching program. People always ask us, how are you guys different? Or I've done a mentoring program somewhere else. And, as I mentioned, Ryan and I spent well over $100,000 together. And when we decided to come up with this program, we wanted to challenge the status quo in the industry. And the way we challenge the status quo in the industry is by putting up 100% of the money for the deals. We're actually willing to go out to the houses with you, which I don't know anyone else does. And then we're also willing to put up money for inspections and appraisals. And you actually have access to our cell phone number. So most companies out there, when it comes out to real estate investing, what they do is they make all their money on education. And so what I think is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's set up for failure. And this is what I mean is the goals are never aligned. They're never aligned between the mentor and the mentee, right? So if you're like my university, which I like USF, go Bulls, the only time I ever hear from them is alumni time. They didn't care when I lost everything. They didn't say, hey, Nish, how's everything? Can I help you out? And what Ryan and I, we take a limited amount of students. We teach you how to wholesale and rehab. You heard Antonio talk about in the beginning, right? He was just learning how to find deals. I remember, Antonio, you didn't have much cash in the beginning. And you're like, hey, look, I'm tired of my 9 to 5. I really want to get into real estate investing. I know you've watched, I don't know how many online stuff you told me, like, I watched this YouTube. Is it like this? Is it like that? And as soon as he made that step, it got him into the game. And, like Antonio, was it been 8 years? I don't know. When did you start our coaching program?
I started the program in like June of 2012. And then, yeah.
Yeah, so we're 9 years. Almost. Yeah, we're at 9 years. Wow. Next year, what are you getting for our anniversary for Ryan and I? Let me know. I'll tell you what kind of car I drive. But, or what kind of car I need, I should say. But the idea is, and the cool thing for Ryan and I is to watch his growth, right? He started, hey, I wanted to do this. And now, he went to wholesaling, he's rehabbing, he's building an Airbnb portfolio. He's using, his self-directed Roth IRA now. He's starting to build his life insurance policy and using cash values. So those are the things. And the cool thing is, like, I learned a ton of Airbnb stuff from Antonio. I mean, that's what part of the reason I said, you know what, let me have Antonio on here, because he's, living it. So the question I always have for everyone, right? There's a lot, the problem is there's a lot of coaching programs out there. And what are they doing for you, right? What we do, Ryan and I are here at Bria, we're here to train you and actually put our money where our mouth is. We've been averaging well over 25,000 plus per wholesale deal. During the pandemic, we're closer to 35,000. So our numbers are pretty big. We talked about the moratorium, with COVID, it's supposed to end at the end of June. And all I'm telling you, there's a lot of opportunity, right? There's ways that, you want to do the Airbnb stuff. And our advanced students, the cool thing is Ryan and I specialize on wholesaling and rehabbing. But guess what? We know how to do subject to. We know how to do multifamily. We know how to do lease options, seller financing. Yes, Airbnb. So as you start growing your real estate business, you might do a couple of Airbnbs and say, you know what, that's not for me. You might say, I just want to rehab, or I want to be a long-term landlord, right? I want to build wealth and legacy, right? And you're saying, look, I'm happy with just getting that 2,000 a month. Someone like Antonio or myself might say, hey, John, I know you want 2,000 a month. How about I sublease and do an Airbnb there, right? We can make it a win-win. And that's our idea here at Bria. We're a little bit unique. I know some of you guys have actually spoken to me about mentoring. If you're not doing deals, the question is, why not? Right? There's a lot of opportunity out there. So I just want to make sure if you guys are interested, we put it into the chat. My information, call our office. It's going to be free. You could ask me 1,000 questions. We could do it via Zoom, telephone. You want to come actually see me and see if I have any legs or torso or feet. We welcome you to the office. We've added advanced coaches to our program. We've had our top students do almost $500,000 in profit in less than a year. So we've done more deals that we've made well over $50,000 per wholesale deal. We just had a deal. I don't know if you guys are on our cash buyers list. Hopefully sign up for that. We just bought it for 146. Antonio, we're wholesaling for 210. So Sandra's first deal, a little over $50,000 in profit. Our Margate house with Steven and Milena, 60,000. So my whole thing is, if you're interested in real estate investing, why are you waiting on the sidelines? I think it's costing you too much not doing anything. And then we do also have financing options for our program. So, if you become advanced students, I know some of you guys about raising money. Our advanced students, we teach you how to raise some money also. And again, we have 100% financing possible for our coaching program. So make sure you give us a call. And any last words, Antonio, for our members, viewers, anything that?
Yeah, what I would say is don't allow the location to keep you from trying to do Airbnb. Don't allow the current how your property looks right now. Don't let that keep you from being able to do Airbnb. You'd be surprised the type of people that will come and pay to stay at your place, regardless of its location, regardless of its obviously it can't be mold in the house, right? But it doesn't have to be completely redone, right? Yeah, and I know we didn't get a chance to get into this, but then, once you get a little bit more into Airbnb, you can start to see the different kinds of clientele that you start bringing in, right? And then you start honing in on these types of clienteles. And there's a lot more, guys, that we can cover. So just get your start, come to Bria, go to the meetings, stay educated, call these guys. It's worth every penny. If you're serious about actually doing this. Okay. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Antonio. And Alexa Marie, I know we have a winner, don't we?
Yes, we do. So Antonio was talking about saving money. So one lucky person gets to save about $500 on their boot camp because they got it for free from the text raffle. So congratulations, Miroslava. You've already contacted us. You're ready to go. For those of you who entered the raffle, there's tons of you. If you didn't win, don't worry. Definitely come to the boot camp still. It'll help you and you're going to learn so much. So it'll be worth every penny. Thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
just a reminder that our boot camp is July 24th and 25th. We used to do them in person pre-COVID. It was $995. Since we're saving all the money on the hotel, all that other good stuff, you know, we decided to give it back to you for $425 for members, and then we still give you our money back guarantee. So if you know you spend 2 full days with us, you know, I always kind of joke about it. You know, Antonio, I tell everyone I'm not God, so I can't give you your time back. I'll gladly give you your money back. So Sunday at 5 p.m., if you feel like we wasted your time, no questions asked, we'll just refund you. In the last 7-8 years, no one's actually asked for their money. We're confident in what we teach you. And it's going to be informative. It's just like this. It's not going to be, you know, Ryan and I just talking about a bunch of junk. We're going to show you real deals in the South Florida market, deals that we're doing, how we analyze properties. And then again, if, you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit, if you want to become a member of BRIA, I always tell people, you know, you got to be part of something. You know, when you, I always think that the first day you sign up for anything is when you become committed. Otherwise, oh, it'd be nice if I'm a member, or if I got ReaFax, or I'm a mentoring student. And then the last thing I'll leave you guys is, you know, we're cash buyers. Make sure you sign up for Thursday's event with Merrill Chandler. It's free. So I don't know what else, what other excuses Antonio will tell you. We used to charge for everything back in the day, and now via Zoom, we're giving it to you. So I don't want to hear about money cost. Everything's pretty much free except for our boot camp and mentoring. So again, thank you so much for being a part of today's events. We'll probably send you a little link for, hopefully you'll give us a 5-star Google review. We talked about how important reviews are. Let us know what you liked about our webinar today, and any feedback, you could always email our team what you like about our webinars or what you guys want to hear. So thank you guys so much again for joining us, and we'll see you guys Thursday.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.